Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be discussing the UK fantasy adventure horror film Werewolf Castle. Spoiler ahead. Watch out and take care. The story starts within a tranquil village where contented people reside harmoniously. In this village resides a boy named Thorfinn, who develops profound admiration for a fellow villager. On a particular day, he ventures to the cattle area, spending quality time with his companion. Simultaneously, we observe Thorfinn's younger sibling wandering amidst the forest, gathering fruits. There, he encounters an unusual individual engaged in playing the flute. Intrigued, Thorfinn's brother approaches the flute player, noticing distinctive wolf-like teeth that distinguish the man's appearance from that of a human. Furthermore, the man is identified as Wulfstan. Meanwhile, Thorfinn's younger brother converses with Wulfstan. Out of nowhere, a swarm of werewolves emerges from the forest, leaving the boy horrified and spellbound by the imminent danger. In a bewildering turn, Wulfstan removes his teeth, obscuring the ensuing events. Piercing screams pierce the air, accompanied by the clatter of the boy's fallen basket, yet Thorfinn, engrossed with his friend, remains oblivious to the commotion and does not pay much attention to him. Simultaneously, a pack of werewolves invades the village, launching a brutal assault that leaves no resident unharmed. Among them, Thorfinn and his friend find themselves in danger as the werewolves breach their refuge. Thorfinn hides, but his friend's unfortunate decision to stay results in a fatal encounter with the werewolves. Subsequently, Thorfinn emerges from hiding, his cries for his brother echoing fruitlessly through the chaos. His brother's absence becomes painfully clear, the result of an earlier werewolf attack. Amid the ongoing attack, Thorfinn bears witness to the relentless werewolf invasion. Amid the turmoil, Thorfinn narrowly escapes, finding refuge in a hiding spot. Rushing forward, he enters a house, only to discover his injured father lying within. Despite his father's plea to flee, a lurking werewolf arrives, prompting Thorfinn to conceal himself. Tragically, the werewolf's attack claims his father's life before his eyes, plunging Thorfinn into a mix of sorrow and panic. Overwhelmed by fear, he flees but collapses suddenly, succumbing to unconsciousness. As Thorfinn regains consciousness, he finds himself confronted by the village chief and a church father. They deliver the devastating news that he is now utterly alone, as the werewolves have wiped out his entire family, along with more than half of the village's population. They express their profound condolences, acknowledging the collective loss that has befallen them all. In the subsequent scene, the focus shifts to the chief's dwelling. Here, he is joined by 4 valiant men, summoned for their warrior prowess. The senior figure among them goes by the name Hal, leading the group, while the others serve as his trusted companions. The chief assigns them a critical task, to journey through the perilous forest and reach the neighboring village's king. Their message conveys the wolf's attack on their village and the urgent plea for help. The chief warns them of the forest's lethal reputation, noting that many who enter never return. Despite the danger, the chief's own courage compels him to lead. Setting out on the mission, Thorfinn arrives, expressing his desire to join due to his familiarity with the forest paths, having ventured there before with his father. Agreeing to his request, they allow Thorfinn to join their expedition. The chief hands Thorfinn an axe, a relic once handled by his father. With this, their group gathers and sets forth on their mission, joined by an additional companion. As they journey forward, the forest they must traverse comes into view. Amid their progress, they stumble upon a gruesome sight. A child's lifeless body dangles from a tree, its flesh gruesomely missing. Thorfinn examines the body closely, realizing in horror that it is the remains of his own brother. Witnessing the horrific scene, Thorfinn succumbs to panic, his distress evident as he begins to vomit. Despite this grim discovery, they press on with their journey. As night descends, they light a fire to provide warmth and illumination. Gathered around the fire, the group engages in conversation, sharing their personal stories. With time, their companions drift off to sleep, leaving only Hal awake, his eyes alert. However, sleep eludes Thorfinn as he is haunted by a nightmarish vision, prompting his eyes to snap open. Seeking solace, he moves closer to Hal, engaging in conversation. Yet, the peace is disrupted when the haunting notes of a flute pierce the air. In a swift reaction, both Thorfinn and Hal rise to investigate, only to find Wulfstan playing the flute. Without warning, he signals his werewolf companions, who launch a sudden attack on Hal and Thorfinn. The ensuing chaos awakens the other members, who join the fray against the werewolves in a fierce struggle. Despite putting up a fearless fight, the experienced senior warrior manages to eliminate several adversaries. However, tragedy strikes as the werewolves claim another warrior's life, seizing his body and retreating into the shadows. The werewolves transport them to a cave, and Wulfstan proposes an unsettling offer to one of the warriors, to join their ranks and be transformed into a werewolf, thereby ensuring his survival. Faced with a dire choice, the warrior, motivated by the desire to live, ultimately agrees. Following Wulfstan's lead, he undergoes the transformation, the process altering his fate. In the midst of this, Hal suggests leaving the cave, prompting Thorfinn to assert that he won't depart without the other two warriors. Determined, Thorfinn ventures alone to locate his companions. After a search, he discovers them and proceeds to a cave where the werewolves taking sleep. Thorfinn locates one of his warrior comrades and extends his hand to lead him away from the cave. In a swift motion, he wields an axe, dispatching a werewolf, only to alert the rest of the sleeper pack. Among them is the companion who had been turned into a werewolf by Wulfstan. Despite the danger, Thorfinn manages to evade their grasp, escaping the cave with his fellow warrior. However, the senior warrior sustains injuries during the difficulty. Hal suggests leaving him behind and continuing their journey, but the other warrior opposes this idea, advocating for their injured comrade's inclusion in their escape plan. Guided by their injured companion, they journey on until they reach a house. Inside, a husband and wife reside. Upon their arrival, they implore the couple for assistance. At first, the man hesitates, but persistent pleading eventually persuades him. Relenting, he agrees, offering his wife's expertise in treating the injured warrior's wounds through her knowledge of various remedies. Invited into their home, Hal and the male resident focus on honing their weapons. Simultaneously, the woman prepares food for the other warriors. Tragically, their meal is tainted, as one warrior falls victim to the poison concealed within the food, experiencing immediate suffering. In that place, the man accompanying Hal engages in a fierce battle against Hal himself, ultimately gravely injuring him. Despite his injuries, Hal overpowers and eliminates the attacker. Meanwhile, Thorfinn discovers a hidden passage, revealing a group of severely wounded and captive men. A warrior, suffering from poison, is then struck by 2 arrows, shot by Wulfstan. With his arrows, Wulfstan also takes down the leader of the warriors, resulting in the demise of 2 adversaries. However, the situation intensifies as numerous werewolves suddenly assault both Thorfinn and the wounded Hal. They display remarkable courage, engaging in a prolonged battle against the werewolves, and managing to eliminate 2 of them. However, their escape is disrupted when Wulfstan unexpectedly launches an arrow, severely injuring Hal. Witnessing this, Thorfinn becomes overwhelmed with panic and screams out. In this dire moment, Hal urges Thorfinn to flee and save himself, as he's already wounded and aware of his impending fate. Reluctantly, Thorfinn agrees and makes a hasty retreat. As he departs, Wulfstan relentlessly shoots arrows at Hal, who's now on the run. Meanwhile, a cluster of rocks provides cover for Thorfinn, who quickly begins scaling them. Navigating the rocky terrain with a mix of slips and cautious steps, he manages to ascend to the summit. Before him stands a castle, belonging to the very king he was dispatched to see by the chieftain. Entering the castle, he finds it abandoned, yet lurking within are discreetly observing werewolves. As he proceeds deeper, he encounters Wulfstan. Mockingly, Wulfstan greets Thorfinn, jesting that he has finally arrived and that the king awaits him impatiently on the rooftop. Acting on Wulfstan's words, Thorfinn advances and begins ascending the stairs, only to find werewolves positioned along the steps. Upon reaching the rooftop, Thorfinn comes face to face with the king. A startling revelation unfolds: the king is the mastermind behind the entire scheme. The werewolves, it turns out, are the king's confidants, residing within the confines of his palace. Delving further, the king leads Thorfinn to a basement chamber where the injured Hal is restrained but alive, defying the odds. Another hidden truth emerges: Hal is, in fact, the king's own son. However, due to the king's dishonorable actions, Hal had distanced himself from his family. He stood in staunch opposition to his father's ways, culminating in his declaration of rebellion against the very king he's now battling and defeating the werewolves as a warrior. Wulfstan presents Thorfinn with the ultimatum: join the werewolves or face death. Fearing for his life, Thorfinn agrees to the transformation, though Hal objects. In response, the king kills Hal by impaling him with a sword through his mouth. Subsequently, Wulfstan attacks Thorfinn, turning him into a werewolf. Thorfinn rises, retrieves the sword from Hal's mouth, and strikes Wulfstan's hand before heading to the rooftop. Pursued by Wulfstan, Thorfinn defeats him, revealing his true human form. Subsequent to this, Thorfinn engages in an extended battle, successfully eliminating numerous werewolves. Suddenly, 2 formidable werewolves surprise him, taking him captive and leading him to the basement. There, the king inflicts further harm on Thorfinn, worsening his condition. Despite this, Thorfinn regains his strength, and retaliates against the king, transforming him into a werewolf as well. Unflinchingly, Thorfinn proceeds to defeat the remaining werewolves, then targets the king's throat, emerging triumphant while clutching the severed head. Gazing at the now empty castle, devoid of werewolves due to his relentless efforts, Thorfinn reflects. In the subsequent scene, he returns to his village, presenting the king's severed head to the chief. He recounts his triumph over the werewolves and drops a sword before the chief, declaring that the last remaining werewolf is himself. Unexpectedly, the chief seizes the sword, swiftly beheading Thorfinn. The chief's proclamation resounds loudly, "Thorfinn is our hero." The assembled crowd joins in, their voices echoing the sentiment. With this climactic moment, the movie draws to a close. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to explore our other recaps.